and welcome to the news. It's a Wednesday, so as usual, you'll get more stories, more insight and new angles about issues on the front burner in our everyday lives. In the next hour and a half, we'll be in different parts of the country to bring you up to speed on developing stories about Nigeria and Nigerians. Tonight, new electricity tariff and the questions from customers.
The Commission has approved a rate review of 225 naira per kilowatt hour for just under 15% of the customer population in Nessie.
Fire outbreak destroys property worth millions of naira in Jigawa State. On tourism, federal government partners Ondo State in boosting its tourism potential to create new opportunities for Nigerian businesses. Plus, pen to paper, President Tinubu signs Student Loan Amendment Bill into law. We have these and our usual packages on education, security, health, agriculture and the environment on our lineup. Benny Adams is on standby to mind his business, while we have guests to provide perspectives on trending issues such as the Student Loan Amendment Bill and the electricity tariff. Have Nigerians received the new adjustments in high spirit or in low currents? Well, without further delay, let's dig in. After all, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Ian Ray John, and this is News Extra. Welcome. President Bola Tinubu says his administration is determined to ensure that the education sector is given proper attention to develop and drive a more rapid growth of the country. The president said this as he signed the National Student Loan Scheme Amendment Bill at the State House. State House correspondent Musbao Dan Wahab traces the history of the student loan to a campaign promise.
If Nigerian youth, the greatest of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest.
Although seeking Bola Ahmed Tinubu once had a pact with Nigerian students.
4 years program is 4 years. There will be student loan. If you cannot finance yourself, we give you a loan. You complete the education. When you get the work, only when you start working and with the capacity to pay, then you start to pay.
Apparently, the students fulfilled their own side of the bargain by supporting him to presidency. And barely 2 weeks into his administration, President Tinubu signed the Student Loan Bill into law as a Democracy Day gift to the students. But then, the provision of the Act required an amendment for better effectiveness. Now, issues of management, eligibility, methods of application, repayments and recovery of loans, among others, have been addressed in an amended legislation as endorsed by the National Assembly. Now, the government is set for the implementation with the establishment of the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, NED-Fund.
We are determined to ensure education is given the proper attention necessary for the country, including skill development programs. Education is the tool to fight against poverty effectively.
Promise kept. President Tinubu says his administration's vision is to ensure inclusiveness in education.
In the past, you've seen a lot of our children drop out of colleges and given up the opportunity. That is no more. The standard and the control is there for you to apply, no matter who you are,
as long as you are a Nigerian citizen. This is to ensure that no one, no matter how poor their background is excluded from quality education and opportunity to build their future.
The days when students will be struggling to sponsor themselves in their various educational endeavors is over, both at the tertiary and those who are seeking skills, who are seeking to be skilled, to be empowered, to move on with their lives. So it's a very great day for the country.
We are happy, and you see that even Nigeria's parents will be happy, and we pray that those given the responsibility will effectively carry it out.
With the grey areas sorted, implementation is expected to begin in earnest for the eligible students. From the State House, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
And now joining us is the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ungilale. Many thanks for joining us.
Always a privilege to be with you.
All right, the President has spoken about this student loan since the advent of his administration. Now that this amendment has become law, could you give us the distinguishing features of this package?
Well, certainly in line with His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's commitment to really cater to the unique needs of the most disadvantaged members of our society. He has determined that his economic reforms will be all-encompassing and that they will provide multiple means of reducing financial and economic obligations on Nigerian families across the country. The student loan program is just the latest one. So let's be clear about what it was and what it now is with the signing of this amendment into effect. Effectively, the initial version of the bill created some restrictions on how many families would be able to key into this program, how many students rather would be able to benefit from the program. Basically saying that any set of parents that made more than 500,000 naira annually, not monthly, annually, meaning less than 40,000 naira per month, essentially, that any child from a home that was above that threshold, 500,000 naira annually, would not be eligible for, accession into the student loan program. We have removed that in the amendment. So effectively, all categories of Nigerian students will be able to key into this, irrespective of the extent to which their family is struggling economically or not. That's point number one. Point number two is on the initial draft of the bill, we also had this guarantor clause that effectively created all sorts of undue hardship and hurdles for Nigerian students who want to access, an affordable education by, asking them to provide up to 2 guarantors with very, very specific features and essentially conditions that really would dissuade Nigerian students from even accessing the loan in the first place. So we've now dealt with that by removing the guarantor requirement, ensuring that Nigerian young people who want to get into this program and access the loan facilities are not spending months and years trying to find how to, essentially resolve some of these requirements. And I think the final point I would mention in terms of the differences is that, initially, the initial bill dealt with only tuition. What the president has done in his wisdom is said, look, the amendment is going to ensure that the student loan facility that's provided will pay the tuition of the student to the school, but it will also include allowances and other benefits payable to the students to ensure that they can deal with paying for their hostels, paying for the living expenses on campus, etc., while ensuring that these things can be paid back in a timely fashion by providing requirements on when those funds would need to be paid back, which is of course 2 years after the National Youth Service participation was concluded, and also ensuring that our students understand that we have added technological backbone to the verification process that was not in place in the first bill. So now we are including the NIN number, we're including the BVN to ensure that there's transparency and accountability with respect to how funds that are being paid to the students on their side of it is being expended. So
Beautiful.
there's really a lot to dig into with respect to the amendment bill.
Beautiful program, I must say. But how soon can students begin to access this loan? And are there categories that will not be covered?
Well, and this is a very fundamental question, because the initial bill also dealt really with essentially four-year universities, the traditional programs, medicine, law, and the like. What the president has done is said, look, we have young, gifted Nigerians who are willing to participate in the economy from the blue-collar, segment of the economy, who want to get involved in carpentry, plumbing, manufacturing, and the like. We want to make sure that we cater to all the needs of our young people, which is why in the amendment he has now opened up the space for young Nigerians to, access student loan financing, even for vocational technical training centers, as well as, skill development and skill acquisition centers. So that's all going to be part of the larger puzzle, saying, look, we'll cater to those who want to get involved in the white-collar aspect of the economy, whether it's in financial services, medicine, and law, but we're also going to deal with the blue-collar, making sure that those who are, building our infrastructure, those who are employing our, our entrepreneurs, or at least supplying our entrepreneurs as vendors and the like, that they are being upskilled in a way that they can provide world-class services without necessarily having to go through 4 or 6 years in a university teaching hall. I think the other point that needs to be mentioned is in the initial bill, the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, NEL Fund, was essentially a structure that did not have certain abilities and powers that it would have needed to have in order to enforce recovery proceedings against any beneficiaries who were not living up to their responsibility in faithfully repaying the loans when they are able to obtain employment after their education. So what we have now done by this amendment, Mr. President has essentially made the NEL Fund a corporate body that is able to leverage on certain movable and immovable assets. For example, it can hold assets, and it has the legal authority now to initiate recovery proceedings against any beneficiary who is trying to play or abuse the system. That was not the case before. In addition to that, the president has also put in place a set of regulatory and governance mechanisms through this amendment bill that would ensure that the NEL Fund is no longer run in a way that is equivocal and malleable to the whims of men in office, but is now structured in a way that has a governing council that is separate from the day-to-day management, the day-to-day management being run by a managing director and a set of executive directors appointed by the president, and then the governing council being run by a chairman and a secretary, appointed from the bodies that are involved in the process, namely the FIRS, the NIMC, and the Ministry of Education and many other agencies.
All right, beautiful. Ajuri, you already mentioned that the loans will be repaid after completing the youth service 2 years after. That's and right. Some other expectations. But could you just highlight some more expectations placed on the beneficiaries regarding loan repayment? What if they cannot secure jobs after 2 years? What happens?
And this is in the nature of the man we elected as president, to be compassionate and to be considerate about some of the circumstances that can arise when things do not go according to plan, which is why he put it in place a very clearly detailed feature of this legislation that essentially says that any Nigerian student who is unable to find work within the 2 years following their conclusion of their NYSC program, that effectively they can obtain a sworn affidavit essentially stating that they do not have work yet, right, that would allow them an extension so that they are not, subject to, recovery proceedings that would be initiated by the NEL Fund in view of that document. So they can do that. Now, but it cannot be abused, because the president also put in place a mechanism to ensure that if there's any fraudulent attempt on the part of any beneficiary to falsely declare by sworn affidavit that they do not have work when in fact they do have a means, whether it's by self-employment or by active formal engagement, that they will be liable to a felony, and of course that will come up with a penalty of up to 3 years. And the last point I want to make on this is the president also added a stipulation that we are calling the fairness and justice stipulation, meaning that in every financial year where the NEL fund is in operation, that you have 1% of the FIRS annual royalties, taxes, and duties that they are able to collect will go into what we call a general reserve fund that will perpetually serve as a revolving fund to fund the student loan program on a year after year basis.
Beautiful.
But the president is focusing on fairness, so he's making sure that in every part of the country, the loan beneficiaries will be equitably spread across all states of the federation, across all zones, ethnic groups, and religions and genders, to ensure that in every financial year there is an equitable, measurable spread amongst the beneficiaries in view of federal character principles. So there's really a lot that went into this.
Indeed, we have all the details about this student loan. Thank you for coming on News Extra tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's look at other issues now. The federal government has inaugurated a technical committee to attract investment in digital and creative enterprises, IDICE program. Vice President Kashim Shettima at the inauguration said the IDICE program, the collaborative effort between the government and international partners, aims at nurturing and empowering enterprises in the digital and creative sectors. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
The National Economic Council had in its last meeting endorsed the implementation of the $617.7 million IDICE program in the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. And at this inaugural technical committee meeting, Vice President Kashim Shettima expressed optimism about the initiative's potential to redefine the nation's digital and creative landscape. And the Ministry of Finance is mandated to ensure the disbursement of funds for the IDICE program, paving the way for its swift implementation.
So as we gaze upon the horizon of possibility, let us be guided by a steadfast commitment to empowering our youth, fostering inclusivity, and driving sustainable economic growth. The IDICE program represents not just an initiative, no, but a catalyst for transformation, a beacon of hope for generations to come. We miss the agricultural age. Africa missed the industrial age. We are now in the knowledge-driven post-industrial age, and we need to take maximum advantages and opportunities that are beckoning at us.
Chairman of the technical committee noted that the IDICE substantial financial backing underscores the program's potential to drive transformative change in Nigeria's digital and creative sectors.
We're going to be doing a lot of training, a lot of support in the area of science, technology, innovation, and the creative arts, most importantly. So we intend to be able to touch at least about 5 million Nigerian youths, directly and indirectly. And we're soon going to be starting with a training of about 300,000. This is a very critical and central program, related to the renewed hope agenda of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, and also critically targeting the youth.
With the groundwork laid, the committee anticipates the first drawdown of funds on April 15, 2024. Marking a significant milestone in the program's implementation process. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, is resolute at meeting the May deadline on some priority projects execution. The minister reiterated this when he inspected some ongoing projects in Guzape District, Abuja. Onuze Yakubu completes the story.
From the Guzape Lot 2 to the diplomatic area, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike took time to inspect the site where rock blasting and excavation are done to create an access road within the district. He assures that all things being equal, the identified priority projects will be delivered on schedule.
Generally, I think we're doing well. To the glory of God, we're doing well. So, and I commend all of you for your support, and the residents of Abuja who have been making some sacrifice. If you see some road, we have been diverted traffic, even though we are not inviting Mr. President to commission them, but let the world know that Abuja is wearing a new look.
The minister also cleared the air on land disputes between the Nigerian army and the natives.
The military is part of government. We have met, and the Chief of Defense staff have assured us that everything will resolve amicably. So we are still on it. So there are no cause for alarm.
He, however, pointed out that with the 2024 national budget being assented to by the president, the nation's capital will witness revolution of projects in the territory. Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
Let's take a break now. Stay with us. Thank you for staying. As they say, nothing good comes easy. So, electricity customers who enjoy 20 hours of supply and above daily will now pay more as the federal government approves new tariff for them under the new tariff regime announced by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. Customers on Band A will now pay 225 naira per kilowatt, up from 68 naira. However, there is balancing act that must be observed as true satisfaction comes from good service and affordable cost. Joshua Ojito will tell us more about it.
In view of the recent increase in price of gas to power, among other factors, the electricity distribution companies approached the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission for a review of tariff and approval granted, but only for customers classified under Band A. While Band A customers will now pay 225 naira per kilowatts as against 68 naira, the regulator insists that distribution companies must supply 20 hours of electricity daily to them, failure which the customers will be downgraded to other bands.
We've put all those in place, as I said, to ensure that we protect the customers, and starting especially the few customers that will be affected by these order on the rate application.
Currently, less than 500 feeders nationwide, representing 15% of total electricity customers, are on Band A, as against 875 feeders claimed by the distribution companies. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission says it will monitor the implementation of the new tariff to ensure compliance on 20 hours supply.
For other customers, are they neglected? No. They will still continue to get service, but not up to 20 hours. And there are targets that are being provided for the distribution companies, which the Commission will monitor and review from time to time to ensure the migration of other customers to better service.
Customers in other bands are not affected by the new tariff. Joshua Ojito, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the People's Redemption Party, PRP, is appealing to the federal government to reconsider its decision of the approval of a 300% increase in electricity tariffs. A statement by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Muhammad Ishaq, says this decision will likewise necessitate the power holding company to hike electricity from 68 naira to 200 naira as 1 kilowatt per hour. The party expresses its deep concern over the shock felt by millions of Nigerians affected by the policy and pledges to continue advocating for their rights and interests. The party calls on the government to expedite action towards its energy transition plans by using alternative renewable sources of electricity supply to help Nigerians sustain their domestic, economic and industrial needs. And now, being joined in the studio by the Vice Chairman and Commissioner of Market Competition and Rates, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, Dr. Musliu Oseni. Many thanks for joining us, Dr. Oseni.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Now, permit upon, but this has come as a shock to some Nigerians. After all, the NEC announced new tariff in January this year in line with the multi-year tariff order, that's the MITO, but remain frozen. And now there is another announcement of tariff increase with effect from today for customers on Band A. Could you tell us the rationale behind the latest increase?
Okay, thank you so much. I think it's important we have some historical perspective to this matter, because I've heard that in some quarters they've alleged that this is an arbitrary review that doesn't follow the provision of the Act. I think it's important to clearly state that this review process has complied fully with the provision of the Act. The review process started last year around the end of first quarter of last year, and by around July we called for a rate hearing whereby the discos were asked to come and justify their rate review application they made to the Commission. As part of the process, we invited the consumer groups, we invited the Nigeria Society of Engineers, we invited some interveners who are experts in the field. Then we invited, he was also invited, which is an arm of the Nigeria Labour Congress, to come and interrogate the application by the distribution companies. So after that, going to December, we issued an order, but in the wisdom of the Commission and in consultation with the policymakers, we decided to freeze the tariff. The tariffs were frozen to the level that was obtainable since December 2022. So in that case, and if you look at electricity, it's a product like every other product. And one of the raw materials for the generation of electricity is gas. As of December 2022, the gas was $2.18 per MMBTU. And when you look at that $2.18, at the exchange rate obtainable during that period compared to the exchange rate now, you will realize the difference, the margin at which the cost of gas has actually moved in Naira terms. And recently, there's been an increase in the cost of gas again from, I think, from $2.18 to $2.42.
So what you're trying to say, Dr. Hussein, is that the price of the dollar is responsible for the increase?
Not only the price of dollars, we have inflation that has moved from what it was into December 2022 and what it is today.
So what is the state of subsidy in electricity? Is government still paying subsidy, and who benefits from it?
Okay, as was announced by the Commission earlier on, the rate increase will only affect the customers that are in Band A enjoying a minimum average of 20 hours of supply per day as measured over a 7-day rolling period, as well as a 1-month rolling period. So what that means is that only a fraction of customers will be affected, 15%. So that what that tells us is other customers whose tariffs have remained frozen enjoy full subsidy from the federal government.
Now, talking about this 20 hours a day that you have categorized as Band A, some say that that's a very optimistic, calculation because they don't enjoy up to 12 hours of electricity per day. So how did you come about the Band A categorization?
Okay, before I respond to that question, I think I was saying that the government is still paying subsidy because it's estimated that if nothing is done, we will be approaching 3 trillion subsidy for this year alone, which is not sustainable when you look at the budget of the country and you are now talking about a third of the budget as subsidy to electricity. And in the wisdom of the president, he has approved presidential metering initiative to ensure that any gain from reduction in subsidy arising from the increase in tariff to this fraction of customers will now also be diverted into ensuring that all customers are metered. With respect to the classification, I think when we started and up till yesterday, the number of feeders on Band A were 1,100 approximately. And based on our review of what has happened in the last 1 year, we realized that on average, these customers on Band A enjoy average of 16 hours per day. That means that when you are looking at average, when you are looking at average, that means that some customers actually will enjoy more than 20 hours expected, and more customers will enjoy something lower than 20 hours.
What fraction of the Nigerian population is that?
15% of the customers are actually going to be affected. So what I'm now trying to say is that upon reviewing that performance, we now came up with the need to actually reduce the number of feeders that will now qualify as Band A for this increase. So from that 1,100 feeders that were previously categorized as Band A, for this increase in tariff, the Commission has only approved 481 feeders. And that 481 feeders are the feeders that have been adjusted based on empirical evidence to have experienced an average of 20 hours per day. Of course, many people will say, oh, no, but there are people that have also testified. We are all consumers, and we live in different locations. And
agreed, Dr. Osede, because of time. Do you think the regulator, talking about NEC now, has the capacity to monitor and ensure customers on Band A enjoy 20 hours steady supply? And what is the penalty for the 14 discos? And just a quick addition, going forward, are we likely to see better services?
Okay, quick one. We are leveraging on technology to monitor the process, and for us to have reduced the number of feeders from 1,100 to 481 that we are confident of, it means that a lot of work has gone into that. So what we are doing now is that we have access to the meter data management system of the distribution companies. We log in directly to get information from the smart feeders on the smart meters that are currently on the feeders that are affected by this rate review, so that we don't rely only on the information from the discos. So we get the information near real time from the source they are also getting it from. So beyond that, we've asked the disco to publish a rolling 7 days rolling average of the level of service in each of the feeders that are going to be affected. And customers can actually log into the website of the distribution company to do that. So if within 7 consecutive days, a disco is unable to meet the service level, service commitment on any feeder, the feeder will be downgraded. If we review over a month and a disco is unable to meet the service level, the feeder will not only be downgraded, but the disco will pay compensation to the customers.
I think that's a fine point to leave the conversation, Dr. Musliu Oseni. Of course, Nigerians are looking forward to better service delivery as far as the power sector is concerned. Thank you for joining us on News Extra.
No, thank you so much for having me.
All right, let's see other issues now as the nation intensifies the efforts towards changing the narrative in the health sector. A key player in the nation's development, the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas, NLNG, has intervened with the inauguration of a modern twin theatre at the Jos University Teaching Hospital, Jos, Plateau State. Governor Caleb Mutfwang performed the historic ceremony in Jos. Ndayang and Dayaba Gyang has the story.
The project started in February 2023 after an assessment of the needs at the hospital by the NLNG Hospital Support Program team and subsequently approved by the company's board of directors. Governor Mutfwang appreciated the gesture by the NLNG, the Federal Ministry of Health and other relevant agencies for bringing the project to fruition, noting that healthcare is a priority he places ahead in his administration.
I've been in several fora where the Jos University Teaching Hospital was highly spoken of. Continue to put in your best. Some of us would continue to be on the lookout for how to enhance the quality of your services.
General Manager, External Relations and Sustainable Development, Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas, Andy Ode, says the company is committed to supporting government to succeed despite the challenging times, appreciating the Federal Ministry of Health for its cooperation in this regard.
Nigeria LNG will recognize the critical role that healthcare plays in the development of any nation. Therefore, we are proud to have played a part in the realization of this project, and we believe that it will contribute significantly to the healthcare delivery of the states
and to actualize the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. The Federal Ministry of Health has commenced implementation of its 4-point agenda of the health sector, which include improved governance, improved population health outcome, unlocking the healthcare value chain, and providing health security for all Nigerians.
Chief Medical Director Jude Dr. Pukop Bobwada underscores the importance of the facility to youth and esteeming populace that seek their services, promising to judiciously put the equipment to use. The Bongom Jos and other prominent citizens lauded the gesture, saying it will go a long way in reducing the suffering of their people. In Jos, Indenyan and the Abuja NTA News.
And still talking health, although the medical field has recorded advancements over the years, research shows that many people are still battling preventable diseases like HIV, cervical cancer, hypertension and hepatitis B. Now, this is not sitting well with the Nigerian government as it is strategizing to put an end to the problem. Hengano John Adams will tell us more.
Medical experts are getting worried about the prevalence of preventable diseases in Nigeria. For instance, hepatitis B is vaccine preventable, but Nigeria has 9.5% of people between 15 to 64 years being infected. Similarly, preventable diseases like HIV, cervical cancer, and hypertension are among illnesses that have become a concern in the Nigerian health sector. The federal government, through the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research, NIMA, is facing the problem heads-on by bringing young minds together to find lasting solutions.
The approach we have taken this time around is now about those who will use the research results. The young people that we have gathered together here today are the ones that will be the end user of whatever research product that we are able to provide.
The team is also using one of Nigeria's strengths in the creative industry to fight the problem.
One of the greatest exports that Nigeria does well and very, very well is music. You know, we are being featured in Grammys. We're everywhere. How much less using that same music that is in us for our health? That is all we are gathered here, saying that there are solutions bottom up that can be community driven.
Every home, everybody plays music. So we are trying, because the awareness for hypertension is low. The awareness for signs and early signs of stroke is also not there.
As the youths rub minds to come up with homegrown solutions in the health sector, it is expected that their ideas will be properly implemented to pave way for a healthier future. In Lagos, Hinginu John Adams, NTA News.
Many thanks, Hinginu. We'll pause here and let some commercials breathe. Please stay. Welcome back. The federal government has taken the bold step to partner Ondo State government in exploring and developing its rich tourism potential as part of efforts to diversify the nation's economy. Minister of Culture and Tourism, Lola Adi John, was speaking in Akure at a meeting with Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa on a more established collaboration and objectives. Abdul Karim Ahmed has details.
The minister says the purpose of seeking collaboration with Ondo State government is for the advancement of the rich tourism potentials which the state is known for. She said President Tinubu is interested in making the tourism sector a money spinner as it is capable of attracting investors from different parts of the world.
The president is very passionate about tourism. He wants tourism to be the #1 revenue generator. He also is very, very passionate about employment, and then we ourselves, are also passionate about community-based tourism.
Governor Ayedatiwa, while identifying the various tourism sites in the state, was positive on the sector producing landmark results in generating revenue, employment, and socio-economic development of the state and by extension the entire country. The partnership is stressed is a welcome development as it is in line with the government's ongoing plans to improve the revenue base of the state.
If we try to make our various subnational states, investment destination where people can visit, not just for businesses only, but for tourism, I think we'll be able to generate a lot of foreign exchange from that.
The partnership with the Ondo State government is one of many steps by the federal government to develop and boost activities in the tourism sector of the nation's economy. In Akure, Abdul Karim Ahmed, NTA News.
Now time to let the businessman mind his business. Benny, you have it.
Thank you and welcome to business. Now many say this is the time to save and not spend. But as you save, inflation reduces the value of your currency. So, what do you do? Take a listen.
The only inflation index investment that we can make in Nigeria now is the capital market, because we look at the money market instrument, they only yield as high as 90%, but in the capital market, you can get as more than that, especially where you look for the sound fundamental stocks to position in. Like we have just read out for the year 2023, the market closed 45.9%, not minding the fact that during the election the market actually traded down. But from May, the inauguration date till December, we saw that the market recovered again 45.9%. By virtue that you have taken position in a stock and is returning 45.9% for you a year, which is far and above what the money market can do.
And now still talking about the stock market, at the end of today's trading session on the exchange, a total of 405 million shares in 10,364 deals, corresponding to a market value of 8.908 billion naira were traded. Compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 26% decline in volume, 39% decline in turnover, and 20% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 58.9 trillion naira. Access Holdings recorded the highest volume of 50 million traded shares, followed by United Bank for Africa 49 million and Transcorp Nigeria 45.9 million. And to energy market, oil prices were stable on Wednesday as investors mulled supply risks stemming from ongoing Ukrainian attacks on Russian refineries and the potential for a widening of Middle East conflict. Brent crude futures rose 16 cents to $89.08 per barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 11 cents to $85.26 a barrel. Both Brent and WTI climbed 1.7% during the previous session to their highest since October. Well, that is business news. News Extra continues with Iyenre. Iyenre, you can take it from here. It's actually nice doing business with you.
Many thanks, Benny. Now, President Bola Tinubu sent his condolences to the family of Comrade Ali Chiroma over the passing of the elder statesman. Sympathizing with the Chiroma family, the organized labor community, and everyone impacted by his loss, President Tinubu affirms that Comrade Chiroma, a former president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, stood up for the independence of the NLC and doggedly defended the downtrodden when it mattered the most. The president praised Almighty Allah to grant repose to the soul of the departed, while assuring the family of the elder statesman of his thoughts and prayers in this moment of grief. Meanwhile, former President Muhammadu Buhari expresses condolences on the demise of veteran Labour leader and former President Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Ali Chiroma. The former president says the deceased left behind notable contributions to the economy and the labour movement beyond the borders of the nation. He describes the late Labour leader as an insightful and fearless leader who contributed notably to his political career as an ardent supporter who stood by him before and during his years in office as president. His thoughts and prayers, he says, are with the bereaved family, government and people of Borno State. Let's take another break now. Please remain tuned. Glad to have you back. Culture is an integral part of a society, and each society has its own distinct cultural attributes. The Hausa communities in Nigeria are endowed with beautiful and colorful cultures, one of which is Tashe, a comic scenario during Ramadan fast. Tashe is still relevant in Kano, and despite modernity, the culture refuses to fade. Fatima Sanusi Kari captured sights and sounds of Tashe in the ancient city of Kano.
Tashe is a Hausa traditional song and dance drama entertainment that is popular during Ramadan, which usually starts from the 10th to 15th of the month. The age-long traditional pantomime performance is a practice that gained prominence after the advent of Islam in Hausa land.
It came from the other part of the world where other people are inclined to performing some acts during the night to make people to wake up to take their sahur. In that process, they term it as tashi, that is as waking up from sleep to take your sahur so that you don't become late.
Although the tradition has no gender disparity, in typical Hausa society, boys and girls are not allowed to perform tashe together. Rather, each gender has unique types of pantomimes to perform.
Apart from the city walls and gates, Kano is blessed with so many cultural heritage. Tashe is one of them. As Hausa people believe in drama, according to research, people at that time used drama to convey message to the emir.
In Kano, Fatima Sanusi Garai, NTA News.
Many thanks, Fatima. I particularly like the costume there. All right. Now, the Nigerian Customs Service has announced 1.3 trillion naira as revenue generated by the service in the first quarter of 2024. At a news conference in Abuja, Customs Comptroller General Adewale Adeniyi emphasized that the amount is 122% higher than what was collected during the same period in 2023. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
With the revenue target of 5.7 trillion naira for the year, the Comptroller General says the service has been uncompromising in achieving this task. He gave the breakdown of 390.824 billion naira as amount generated in January, 450.209 billion naira collected in February, and 506.624 billion naira in March.
In the first quarter, NCS demonstrated remarkable performance in revenue collection. Total revenue collected during this period amounted to 1 trillion naira, 347 billion, 675 million, 608,972.75 kobo. The collection for the first quarter represents a substantial increase of 122.35% when we compare it to the same period last year.
Besides this, the chief custodian at the points of entry into the country also disclosed that foreign exchange fluctuations created an offset in its activities, which eventually affected the volume of transactions. He envisages this might still manifest in the months ahead.
The repercussions of these fluctuations have sent concerning signals to our stakeholders, and it affected very seriously. In fact, you might say it disrupted our activities.
He appealed to those with improperly imported vehicles to take advantage of the 90-day window approved by the federal government to do proper clearance, stressing that the service will commence vigorous operations at the end of the period to take actions against such vehicles and owners. Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
Let's head to Jigawa now, as more than 200 houses have been razed down by an Ifeno at Kwalele village in Abuja local government area of Jigawa State. Muhammad Musa Skura reports that assessment by the state's emergency management agency reveals that the fire outbreak has destroyed property worth 30 million naira.
Although there was no loss of life to the midday fire outbreak as the villagers were able to evacuate children, the aged and other vulnerable members of the community, property worth about 30 million naira was said to have lost to the inferno. These include animals, houses, grains, furniture and economic trees among other belongings of the villagers. The state deputy governor who led an emergency relief team to the village described the condition of the residents as pathetic, assuring the victims of government's assistance to recover from their losses.
I sympathize with the people on behalf of Jigawa State and the people of Jigawa State. We are really sympathizing for what happened, and may Allah provide what they lost.
A lot of valuable is gone, as you can see Guinea corn there.
Preliminary supports of assorted food items, mats, Blankets and buckets has already been delivered for distribution to the victims. Though stakeholders say the source of the fire is not yet established, the reason may not be far-fetched, as the misuse of cooking fire in the sunny, dry and windy weather of April by children in a village like Kwelele, where residents largely live in mud and thatch houses, anything can happen. From Dutse, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
Well, the Director General National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Zubaida Umar, says the agency will continue to explore possibilities of more partnerships with intervening agencies for effective mitigation and management of disasters across the country. The NEMA boss stated this when she received the leadership of UNOCHA in Abuja. Eliasu Yakubu feeds us.
Disaster management experts say requires high-level collaboration for effective mitigation and management, and this meeting between NEMA and UN-OCHA is to further strengthen workable partnership that will see to the effective management of disasters devoid of casualties and destruction of property. DG NEMA appreciated the commitment of UN-OCHA and expressed confidence in the sustenance of strengthening of existing partnership between the two organizations towards achieving their mandate. She also highlighted some of her plans to ensure early preparations and proactive approach in case of flood to mitigate and respond to the disaster this year.
It is on record that the collaboration between NEMA and UN-OCHA has been instrumental in enabling us to enhance our response capabilities and reach out to more people in need.
The UN-OCHA Nigeria Head of Office, Mr. Trung Jensen, said the visit was to reaffirm the commitment of UN-OCHA to partner with NEMA in the areas of disaster management in Nigeria.
And the only way we can find solutions to these issues is by working together, drawing on the strengths, comparative strengths that you have and the comparative strengths that we have.
NEMA is working out modalities to proactively tackle the 2024 flood devastation to minimize destruction of lives and property. In Abuja, Ilyasu Yakubu, NTA News.
In other news, the National Commission for Persons with Disability has taken over the Accessible Aviation Project to strengthen disability outreach programs to promote comfortable mobility for members of the disability community at airports. Elizabeth Omori reports that the Center for Ability and Rehabilitation and Empowerment, as well as other development partners, championed the course in Abuja.
Inside the report, we have the milestones we achieved.
The project, which commenced in 2021, closed February this year. This, Chike Okogo says, the platforms to protect the dignity of persons with disabilities.
Accessibility means being able to enter a bank and do banking things. Accessibility means being able to go to school. I have had cases, I have experienced it in Nigerian universities where I had to deliver lectures on a second or third floor and they had to carry me. Accessibility means being able to go to the hospital, ride into the hospital, and a deaf woman can communicate with a doctor.
Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities says passengers with reduced mobility are entitled to assistance at airports.
But we are going to start with some of the major airports to deploy our staff. We will train them, provide the sign language interpreters and everything there in all our respective airports. We are writing to the Federal Airport Authority so that we can have a mutual meeting. So that from the mutual meeting, we are now going to secure the appropriate spaces in the airport where we will deploy our staff to go into these places so that they can man the necessary airports, provide the necessary assistive devices that are needed for easy movement for persons with disabilities in our airports.
Ambilifts, stair climbing wheels, umbrellas for albinos, and other assistive devices. They agree should be made available at airports to ease mobility. In Abuja, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
Let's now talk agriculture, as the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security says it is committed to tackle all forms of pest attacks affecting crop production and food security in all seasons in the country. The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, stated this while flagging off the 2023-2024 dry season aerial spray control of trans-boundary agricultural pests in Yola, Adamawa State. Simon Asha reports.
Local government areas in Adamawa State are said to be affected by killer birds, thereby affecting optimal crop productivity and food security in the society.
In local government like Numan, South to Yola, South and part of Giri and other places, and even in Mayo and Fuforo there are roosts. So this one is aimed at targeting the roost, so that before the rainy season setting fully.
The official flag of the area spray control of transboundary agricultural pests for dry season farming in the state by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is to mitigate the effect of pest attack likely to reduce farm production.
The spray will help to increase our crop yield and reduce cooler bird infestation of our farms.
The Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar, represented during the exercise by the Adamawa State Coordinator, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, Salihu Misa Janenso, says the federal government pest control, especially on quilla birds, is to enhance heat-free farming activities in the nation.
The aerial spray is meant for quilla birds to minimize quilla bird infestation during this dry season farming.
The exercise, which is targeting quilla birds' routes and identified nesting site, is expected to last for 5 days in the state. In Yola, Simon Asha, NTA News.
Elsewhere, authorities have made progress in the investigation into the series of tragic accidents that occurred on the Abuja Road in Kogi State, claiming the lives of 14 individuals last Sunday. One of the truck drivers involved has been apprehended as inquiries into the fatal incident continue. Kogi State Sector Commander, Federal Road Safety Corps, Samuel Sunday Oyedeji, gave an update on the situation during a briefing in Lokoja. Solomon Ayedehin has an update for us.
They were involved. 13 lost their lives. But like I said, yesterday morning, 2 that were rescued, 1 again died. So that remaining 1. That means all 14 lost their lives in the accident.
And the last person?
Yes, it's okay. They have been discharged.
Following the directive from Dauda Alibiu, the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, instructing the Kogi State Sector Commander to initiate a thorough investigation into the multiple road traffic crashes in Obajana, Mr. Samuel Sunday Oyedeji confirmed that collaborative efforts between the Federal Road Safety Corps and the Nigerian Police Force in the state have yielded significant results.
Those that are involved, the drivers that are involved in this sad event, they are going to be prosecuted. One of them has been detained by the police in Obajana. We are still looking for the other one so that we can take them to court.
The sector commander elaborated on the ongoing measures being implemented to prevent similar tragedies from occurring along the corridor.
We have about 3 speed bumps that is constructed along that area. But now the speed bump has been increased to 24. This is just to reduce the speed of vehicles applying that road.
He further emphasized the importance of motorists prioritizing safety while operating vehicles. In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehi, NTA News.
Let's head to the courtroom now as Justice Enyang Adam Ekwo of the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted order for the detention of a Nigerian, Emmanuel Osase, accused of being a member of the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria for 60 days. The judge gave the order on Wednesday when ruling in a motion ex parte filed by the State Security Service. At the proceedings, counsel for the SSS, Mr. Uyuji, told the court that the matter was brought pursuant to Section 66, Subsection 1 of the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022 and prayed the court for an order enabling the SSS to detain Osase for 60 days pending the conclusion of the investigation. In a ruling, Justice Ekwo, a vacation judge, granted the prayer of the SSS, saying upon studying the arguments in the affidavit, he agreed with the SSS and therefore granted the relief as prayed. Osase was arrested on March 11 and accused of propagating the messages of the terrorist group opposing the democratic system of government in Nigeria and calling for terrorist attacks on Nigeria and its symbols of sovereignty. Meanwhile, proceedings were disrupted at Chief Magistrate Court, Wuse Zone 6, Wednesday, when a case of alleged forgery was brought to be heard. Olufumlayo David Omoshile, a whistleblower, had filed a suit against two staff of the Oil and Gas Free Zone Authority, Wasiu Sule and Alenju Ngofa, saying they used falsified documents to victimize him, while the magistrate was attending to other matters before the case was called. Some individuals outside the courtroom became unruly, leading to the magistrate abruptly adjourning for the safety of the court.
The magistrate sat today on the third matter. Unfortunately, our own matter could not be heard because a nominal complainant of another matter came and disturbed the peace of the court. So because of that, court had to rise and our matter could not be heard today. So the matter has been adjourned to the 14th of May 2024 for continuation.
This time, the National Industrial Court in Abuja had ordered that the plaintiff's employer should pay him all emoluments withheld from him since 2011 when he was suspended from office. One child, one teacher, one book, one pen can change a society. This popular quote of Malala Yousafzai, the Pakistani Nobel Peace Laureate, resonates with the development needs of children victims of insurgency in Borno State that are now taking advantage of a second chance to assert their destinies. Zainab Adam takes us through the journey of some of these students and their pupils, their survival struggles and steadfastness in the face of adversity from the insurgency era to date.
18-year-old Hawa Abdullahi Saleh, a victim of the insurgency from Goza local government area, is one of the 100 secondary school students attending Lafia Sarari Learning Center. Hawa sets to school as early as 6 a.m., trekking miles to a major road to join the school bus and returns by 2 p.m., not minding the scorching sun, with the temperature rising to 42 degrees Celsius as she walks back home. Catered for by a single mother alongside her siblings, Hawa's first day at school in 2017 is still fresh in her head, despite the trauma of fleeing for safety when insurgents attacked her community. Hawa and other girls in the school are determined to break all barriers and assert their destinies in tune with their God-given endowments.
I really want to be a pilot because looking at the country at large, we have few female pilots, and more especially in the north, we don't have them much, so I want to be one. Actually, I have a call for our fathers, for the men, that they should not look at girls as useless, as valueless, because we are actually more important. Like they need us more in the society.
My ambition is to become a journalist, and through my writings and through my voice, I will have the opportunity to make people demand for their rights. I will use my writing and my voice to change my society.
The students also engage in clubs activities on Fridays between 8 o'clock a.m. to 8:40 a.m. to equip them with other skills.
Will continuously, as I usually do, call on individuals, groups and organizations actually to take part. No matter what they do, let them take part in seeing that a child has actually been to school.
Similar educational initiative abounds at Future Prowess in Maiduguri for the past 10 years.
I'm very happy to be here because after I got my
junior secondary school. I don't know how to speak English, but now I'm trying my best.
We combine the formal education and the Islamic institution. Then, well, the obvious question that comes to mind is how about those Christians that were who are orphans? They were left to stay because some of the teachers there were Christians, and everybody has been on the platform.
Imagine losing both parents or one of your parents at a tender age without any support to acquire basic education as a necessity in life. With value-based form of teaching, Lafia Sarari Learning Center and Future Progress Islamic Foundation are building the resilience of the students for a better tomorrow. Maiduguri, Zainab Adam, NTA News.
Really wishing those children the very best. And of course, as a nation, we must do our best to ensure that every child is educated. We must now head back to the courtroom because soccer has finally come the way of the common man as the Cross River State Judiciary, in partnership with the Secretariat of Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, establishes a small claim court, the fast-track dispensation of justice, especially to litigants seeking to recover debts in business transactions within the range of 5 million naira and below. Erica Ivy reports that the Chief Judge of the state, Justice Akon Ikpeme, instituted the small claim court with the training of about 20 magistrates to kickstart the court.
A small claim court instituted by the Chief Judge of the state, Justice Akon Ikpeme, is a recent development in the legal system in the Cross River State Judiciary, a platform set to provide an inexpensive way for people to resolve disputes, especially debt recovery, within 5 million naira range, with or without employing the services of a legal practitioner.
A workshop was just held to sharpen the knowledge of the operators so that they will know what is expected of them, the magistrates and the other support staff. It has been in existence. I have done 2 matters there. I've got 1 judgment. I'm expecting another judgment very soon. And I'm a lawyer.
Some respondents who had no idea of a small claim court, after much explanation, maintained that the idea is a welcome development as it will destroy bureaucracy in the dispensation of justice, since small claim courts decides cases within 60 days from commencement.
I'm only aware of the federal high courts, the state courts, the magistrate courts, and family courts.
This court of its things, I don't really like it. I don't want to go to court because I don't even have any idea of any court something.
But now that legal representation is optional, what happens if either of the parties, claimant or respondent, is not satisfied with the judgment?
The practice direction used in that court, and suddenly I came with one here, is a magistrate court's law practice direction on small claims 2023. It has given direction as to what should be done. You have the right of appeal.
With the new process, respondents in Cross River State believe that justice is now brought closer to the people, especially in the aspect of debt recovery. In Calabar, Erica Ivy, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu extends his congratulations to Chief John Agbola Odeyemi, MFR, the Obashawa of Ile-Ife, on the occasion of his 85th birthday on April 4, 2024. In a congratulatory message, the president joins family and friends of Dr. Odeyemi in celebrating the corporate sector virtuoso, extolling his larger-than-life footprints in the halls of Nigeria's enterprise boardrooms. President Tinubu commends the respected business leader for his contributions to the nation in diverse spheres, including industry and philanthropy, spanning decades. The president wishes him many more fulfilling years filled with joy, warmth, and happiness. Time to pause. Please, more extras to come. Stay. 4 people lost their lives in a fatal road crash involving 2 DAF trucks which occurred along Ilorin-Bode-Shadu Highway in Kwara State. A statement issued by the Public Education Officer, Kwara Command of the FRSC, Olayinka Basombo, explained that 5 injured male adults were rescued and taken to the University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital, where they are currently receiving medical treatment. According to the sector public education officer, one of the trucks carrying fertilizer and 8 passengers wrongfully overtook another vehicle without adequate view of the road ahead, and in a bid to avoid colliding with an oncoming truck, lost control and collided with another truck carrying tomatoes and went into flames. The fire has been put out and obstructions cleared to allow free flow of traffic. The sector commander appeals to drivers to avoid speed, overloading and wrongful overtaking, as well as other acts that may be inimical to their safety. Let's have a bit of sports now. At Aimbao Vaba ran riots in Aba as Bendel Insurance lose ground in Benin City. Details of these and more from our sports desk with Austin Edemudu.
In the Nigerian Premier Football League matches played on Wednesday, Enugu Rangers maintained their position in the summit after a 2-0 victory over visiting Sunshine Stars of Akure. At the Aba Township Stadium, the People's Elephant in Aba ran riot with a 5-0 demolition of Kano Pillars to occupy the second spot in the league table. At the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City, Bendel Insurance lost sight of top 4 finish after losing 3-1 to visiting Niger Tornadoes, while Aqua United is languishing in the relegation zone after losing 1-0 to visiting Doma United. The game between Sporting Lagos and Lobby Stars ended in a goalless draw. Ahead of the crucial Paris 2024 Olympic women football qualifiers between the Super Falcons and the Bayana of South Africa in Abuja this Friday, Super Falcons coach Radi Wondron says he is optimistic that his team will defy all selection challenges facing the team to gun for outright victory against the Bayana to boost their chances of securing the Olympic ticket.
My thoughts on South Africa are they've got a very good side. Obviously, I think they're the defending African champions, so we have to have respect for them. I really like our team and our squad, and I have all the confidence in our players that will perform really well.
The return leg of the qualifiers between the Super Falcons and the Bayana of South Africa will take place on Tuesday next week in Pretoria. Finally, former president of Spain Football Federation, Luis Rubiales, has been arrested as part of corruption investigation. He was detained in Madrid upon his arrival from the Dominican Republic. He is suspected of receiving illegal commission when negotiating a lucrative deal to stage the Spanish Super Cup competition in Saudi Arabia. With Sports Update, I'm Austin Edemodu, NTA News.
The family of late Pa Anthony Nwayawu of Dekenofeyi Autonomous Community in Isiala Umbano local government area of Imo State has announced a burial arrangement for late Ezine Florence Nwayawu, who died at the age of 78. There will be vigil mass on Thursday, 4th April at late Pa Anthony Nwayawu's compound by 5 o'clock in the evening. On Friday, 5th April at 9 o'clock in the morning, body lives in Nwayawu's compound for line and state. Requiem Mass will be by 11 a.m. at St. Francis Catholic Church. Dekenofeyi Outing service will be on Sunday, 7th of April, 2024 at St. Francis Catholic Church, Dekenofeyi by 9 o'clock in the morning. Late Ezine Florence Nwayawu was described as a loving sister, wife, mother, and grandmother. Let's now take a quick peep at the weather outlook for Thursday.
Welcome. Early morning thunderstorms are expected to prevail across parts of Lagos, Edo, Delta, Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Cross River State. These thunderstorms are expected to continue in the afternoon across the coastal cities, the inland cities of the south, as well as parts of Plateau, FCT, Kwara, and Benue in the central region, with Kaduna, southern Adamawa, and Taraba in the north, leaving the remaining parts of the country with patches of cloud. With the high temperatures and moisture reaching the northern parts of the country, our heat index indicates possibility of heat stroke and heat exhaustion. Therefore, necessary precautions should be taken. Let's take a look at the temperature forecast. Thank you for watching.
Many thanks, Sophia, for that weather update, and of course that news extra tonight. Many thanks for investing your time with us. Do have a good night.